What if everything you have been told about being chosen by God was only half the truth? Not a lie, not a deception, just half. Here's what most sermons leave on the table. They tell you that God has chosen you. They quote Ephesians 1. They remind you that you are elect, beloved, set apart. And that is true. But nobody tells you what being chosen feels like from the inside. Nobody tells you that the chosen path often feels like the forgotten one. By the end of this, you will understand why your life feels smaller than your calling. Why the pressure you feel right now is not punishment. It is preparation. And what God is building in you while you wait. There is a feeling nobody names in church. You prayed. You surrendered. You said yes to God, and then nothing happened. Or worse, things got harder. You look around at people walking in purpose, in clarity, in open doors, and you wonder what is wrong with you. Whether you heard God wrong, whether the calling you felt was just an emotion, just a feeling, on a good Sunday morning. You carry the weight of a life with more potential than results, more vision than evidence, more hunger than harvest, and the silence of that gap. It is not something people talk about in the church lobby. This is where most chosen people live, not in triumph, in the tension. Here is something you need to understand about fragrance. The most expensive perfume in the world does not come from a flower that was simply admired. It comes from a crushed flower. The rose does not release its deepest scent until pressure is applied, until petals are pressed, until what was beautiful on the outside is broken open from the inside. This is how anointing works. The waiting, the pressing, the holy frustration of potential without a platform. This is not neglect. This is an extraction. God is not ignoring you. He is drawing something from you that could never have been released in comfort, a depth of character, a tenacity of faith, a fragrance that will reach rooms you have not yet entered. Being chosen by God has never been about being elevated above others. It has always been about being pressed for others. Consider Joseph. He was 17 years old when the dream came. Genesis 37, verse 5. A dream so vivid, so God-breathed, so undeniable that it changed the atmosphere of every room he walked into. And then the crushing began. His own brothers sold him. Not strangers, family. He went from dreamer to slave, from favorite son to forgotten man, from the coat of many colors to the pit, to Potiphar's house, to prison. 13 years, Joseph. 13 years between the promise and the position. While Joseph was in that prison, the cupbearer forgot. The system failed, and every earthly circumstance told him the calling was canceled. He had every reason to conclude that being chosen by God felt a lot like being abandoned by God. But Joseph was not abandoned. He was being prepared. Every false accusation was forming his character. Every forgotten promise was deepening his trust. Every year, in the dark, a fragrance was released that would eventually fill a palace. When he stood before Pharaoh in Genesis 41, verse 38, this is what Pharaoh said. Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom is the Spirit of God, not just talented, not just gifted, saturated in God. That is what the crushing produces. What I am about to share next is the part that will change how you see everything you are currently walking through. The reason being chosen by God feels nothing like you expected is because you have been measuring presence by proximity. You assumed that if God was with you, things would feel close, clear, moving. But there is a kind of divine presence that does not feel like a warm embrace. It feels like a furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did not feel comfortable in that fire. Daniel chapter 3. They felt heat. They felt the threat. They felt every human reason to panic. But there was a fourth man in the fire. God was not standing outside the furnace cheering them on. He was in it, with them. And when they came out, they did not smell of smoke. They came out carrying something, an unburned testimony, an unshaken faith, a fragrance refined in the very thing that was meant to destroy them. God's presence in your life right now may not look like open doors and answered prayers. It may look like a fire you are walking through without being consumed, and that is not the absence of God's choosing. That is the depth of it. You were not chosen to sit. You were chosen to be sent. This is the truth the enemy does not want you to carry into your Monday morning. You are not waiting to become something. You are already carrying something, already releasing something, into every room, into every relationship, into every conversation with someone who is quietly drowning. The calling on your life is not in some future version of you with more followers, more resources, more validation. The calling is right now, in the crushing, in the pressing, in the quiet obedience that nobody applauds. You were not just called by God to achieve something for Him. You were chosen by God to carry something of Him. You were sent to send. So let me leave you with 3 things to carry. 1. The delay is not rejection. Joseph waited 13 years. The gap between the promise and the position is where character is formed, not where calling is canceled. 2. The pressure is not punishment. The crushed flower releases what the admired flower cannot. God is not pressing you to break you. He is pressing you to release you. 3. The hiddenness is not abandonment. The roots go deepest before the branches go highest. What God is building in the unseen season is what will sustain the visible one. Let us pray. Father, I lift every soul watching this, every person carrying a calling that feels too heavy and too quiet at the same time. Remind them that the pressing is producing something precious, that they are not forgotten, they are chosen. God bless you. Keep walking, keep sending. Tell me in the comments, what season are you in right now? The crushing, the pressing, or the releasing? We will see you in the next story.